Hello, everyone. This is Tony. Today we are going to be talking about Donald Trump new executive order signed last month about criminalizing any person that's unhoused and living on the street, whether it's in a tent or homeless encampment or in a car or in an RV. Throughout America. Like right now, there's a couple states are enforcing right now, probably up to 11 states right now. But who knows how many more states gonna be signing the agreement to ban all homeless people from the street and no loitering. You cannot drive your car there and go to grocery shopping because they see your car and they probably gonna call the cop on you. So they say, "Oh, you can't park here. You're loitering." You know what I mean? And I don't know how many people it's gonna affect because there are like million and million people living on the street, and people that not even homeless, they live in their car and they live in the RV, but they're not homeless though. You know what I mean? They just living that way of life because they want to save money, you know what I mean? And they want to retire. So right now, the cost of living is so expensive. So basically, it's this way. You can't sleep in the street. Just everybody have the right to sleep in the street, you know what I mean? Safely, whether house or unhoused, you know what I mean? So basically, it's a crime to live in your car and to travel in your car, even though you have a job, you know what I mean? So what are we gonna do about it? You know what I mean? Like let's say this, okay? Let's say, you know what I mean? If the police of the city remove all the homeless encampment, and remove all the homeless people, and they put them to like homeless shelter. But most of the homeless people, they don't like to follow order. They don't like to follow order. They don't want any rules. Just they want to do whatever they want to do. You know what I mean? And what some of them they use drugs, and if you staying in the homeless shelter, you cannot use drugs or drink alcohol or even smoke. You know what I mean? So what are they gonna do? Are they gonna fine them? Because there's no money. They have no money to fine them for, because how do they pay back? You know what I mean? To society. You know what I mean? And if they don't listen or obey the law, they can go to jail or prison. You know what I mean? And also, where are they gonna put the mentally ill? Or are they gonna put them into like mental institution? Or are they gonna give them like a hospital that will take care of them? And from them hurting themselves or anybody else. And how about the drug addiction? Are they gonna force them to rehab? Well, what if some of them don't want to be going to rehab? What then? Are they gonna prison them too? Are they gonna put them in jail? So this is a tough call really for the new law. You know what I mean? Forcing people to be homeless because to be getting house, and they don't like them being homeless because of that reason. Just people, the rich neighborhood doesn't like seeing homeless people around. So where are they gonna go, really? You know what I mean? They either go to homeless shelter or go to prison, or unless you make affordable housing or housing for the homeless people, and teach them classes to go back to work, like vocational school, free school for them, job training, so they can go back to society again. You know what I mean? And also make housing more affordable, because housing right now is so expensive. Nobody can afford paying rent. You know what I mean? Especially when they don't have a good job to pay rent. You know what I mean? But I know some housing are cheaper than most. Like apartment. You know what I mean? Or studio. But they still cost you like $1,500 a month on major city, or $2,000 a month. So if you're making minimum wage, you can barely, even 40 hour week, right? You can barely pay rent and how much left for the money to eat and barely go about to eat, you know what I mean? So is that a good life to live? No, I say no. That's why a lot of people live in their car so they have extra money so they can live a good life, you know, for retirement and stuff, you know what I mean? And so basically, the law is telling people that even if you're rich and you live in an RV and you travel, that means you're a criminal because you live in a nice RV. You know what I mean? So every store you can park, just like let's say I'm like you're a nomad, you're a traveler, right? Like myself. So I travel to different states and work. You know what I mean? And I want to see new places, new things. I want to enjoy life. And now I can't because of this law. So what are we gonna do about it? Are we gonna band together and we're gonna write a petition to the city, to the governor, to the president, say, hey, we're not homeless. We live life on the road. We choose this way of life. You know what I mean? Why are you banning us from doing this? Why are you banning us from traveling and living our life the way we want to live? We pay our taxes, right? We don't live in the street. We don't, throw trash in the street. You know what I mean? We obey the law. You know what I mean? We go to every different state. We buy food. We spend money on restaurant, on grocery, on gas. You know what I mean? We're making the city money. You know what I mean? Instead of really solving the homeless issue, you should solve the people that need help. You know what I mean? The mentally ill that need help, that need a place to stay, that need a medication for their mental illness. You know what I mean? And hopefully help them out one day to improve their life. Maybe they can go back to society again. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? And also to help the homeless people that need jobs. You know what I mean? Because everybody becomes homeless for a reason. You know what I mean? Whether you're a millionaire or you're just a regular minimum wage worker. Because people have bad time, you know what I mean? Family issue, this and that. And job cut because they raise the minimum wage so high. That means the employee, small business cannot pay them to work. You know what I mean? So they have to fire them. You know what I mean? So that's why a lot of people end up on the street for that reason. You know what I mean? Either they get laid off, it's just of COVID, and because high cost of living, you know what I mean? So why are you punishing them for being homeless, you know what I mean? And trying to fund them. And if they don't pay the fee or go to the homeless shelter, you're gonna jail them? It costs a lot more money jailing a person than making affordable housing, you know what I mean? So I don't get it, you know what I mean? Because people will fight back, you know what I mean? If the law is not going right, because this is America, the land of the free, you know what I mean? This is land of free. We should be able to live our life our way, the way we want it, you know what I mean? So, I don't know. I really don't know what this law is going to do, really, you know what I mean? But I know a lot of homeless people, they definitely won't listen. They probably go to prison probably, you know what I mean? And that's not good for them, you know what I mean? And like I say, the mentally ill is gonna suffer too because they're gonna be in their rehab place or in mental institution, and eventually they will die there. They will die there, you know what I mean? And the addiction people, with drug addict, with drinking problem, with drug problem, they're gonna get rehab, yes, and hopefully they will get housing. And I hope that will help them, you know what I mean? Get back to society again and, be a productive citizen. But in order to do that, you gotta have affordable housing. Without affordable housing, it's not gonna happen, you know? So, what do you guys think about this new law, this new homeless law, you know what I mean? They're putting out right now. Because I'm kind of worried now, because right now I'm traveling up north, so to some city. And most city is in California, Oregon, or Washington, even Idaho or Colorado too. So, and right now they have a lot of laws in different states now to banning homelessness. You know what I mean? And people are not living in their car. What should we do? You know what I mean? let me know what you think, and if you think this video is informative, please give me a like, comment on my video, and subscribe to my channel. You know what I mean? If you're new, or if you're like watching my video and haven't subscribed. Until next time, I see y'all.